Hi, welcome. I am so excited
to
about
another
my guest
episode
today.
of Online Dating
I
with
have
Patsy, the
from the
podcast.
Advocating Against Romance Scammers, retired Colonel Brian Denny from the United States Army, and Mrs. Kathy Waters. Welcome to my little podcast.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
I would like you both just to give me a short, tell everybody about yourselves a little bit.
Ladies first, Kathy.
Okay. Well, we are a nonprofit organization that helps support and educate people who want to know more about online romance scams. We try and guide them to the appropriate help, whether that be through reporting the crime to law enforcement or finding clinical help as well. So we came into this because my mother was a victim. I reached out to Brian because the scammer was using Brian's photos, and so we went from there and realized that there needed to be a lot more help and education out there about the online romance scams.
Great.
And I'm a 26-year U.S. Army veteran, retired in 2016, and very shortly thereafter realized a few of my photos, 12 specifically, had been used by online scammers to take advantage of people, and worked at it for about a month, 2 months, 3 months myself, but wasn't getting anywhere. And Kathy reached out and we connected and teamed up, and we've been working this problem ever since November 2016 or so.
Cool. Kathy, how did you find Brian? Since you saw the photos being used.
So, yeah, my mother's friend came over for Thanksgiving. She was all excited, because she's in this new relationship, and she showed me a picture of him. So everything sounded too good to be true. When she left, I looked up this guy's account because they were friends on Facebook, and noticed that the name that he gave her or was using was Ross Newton, and the name on the uniform looked like Lenny or Denny. So I just thought I'd Google it, and I found, I Googled Army Man Denny, and I found Brian, his LinkedIn. And so I messaged him through LinkedIn and, let him know. And that's a kind of a typical thing that people do that have been victims or family members, they want to find the real person. And I did just that. So to let him know, hey, I think your photos are being used. And so then that's when Brian let me know that he had known that for about 6 months prior.
Yeah. Well, that was something I was going to talk about later. But I've never had anybody on or talked to anybody whose photos were used. Actually, I've had my accounts duplicated, believe it or not. But Brian, how do they do this? Do you have a lot of social media presence, or how do they get your pictures?
Yeah, that's funny. I do have a fairly significant social media presence, but it's not really me. Somebody asked me at one point, if I was on dating sites. And I could truthfully say, no, I've never been on a dating site yet. I'm on hundreds of dating sites, or at least my images. No, this all got started kind of the old-fashioned way. I took some pictures on a family vacation back in 2016, and they were really the first ones that were pulled and used by the scammers. A combination of those photos. And then a couple of pictures that the Army had taken of me during a couple of different things with on exercises with the military, and they were floating around out on the internet. And it was those photos that kind of kicked this off. And that's what the first victim kind of turned me on to and said, hey, take a look at Google your name on in the Facebook search bar there. And I did. And again, there were double digits of profiles of me, all using the exact same spelling of my name, the exact same pictures. And I thought, okay, well, I'll quickly put an end to this. And here we are a number of years later. And I have about the same success in reporting those to Facebook as I did back then, which means not much will happen. The pictures won't be taken down. The accounts will stay up and active and this kind of thing. So that is it in a nutshell. And it's been a struggle over the past few years just to try to get folks to recognize, the dangers that are inherent in just posting pictures and what malicious activity takes place when you post pictures online. A lot of things that you wouldn't intend to have happen with those pictures.
Yeah. Well, I have something similar to what you have on your website. I have a thing where I have pictures of all the scammers I've encountered. I call it the liar's wall of disdain. I have more to add. I have a whole Excel database. I got like 800 more to add in there. It's just I gotta adjust my time.
Oh, yeah.
But I forgot what I was heading towards. My question really is, because I get a lot of, I'm Joe and I'm on a peacekeeping mission, name that country.
Mm-hmm.
When guys are deployed in the military, are they really on social media that much? Or I wouldn't think they would be, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can be. I mean, it is it's an interesting thing that through a couple of 3 deployments now, the Army really pushes, and I suspect the other services are as well, to provide soldiers social media as an outlet. Particularly with talking to family and friends back home to keep them connected to their loved ones. The days of letter writing, it still happens, but not as frequently, and it's much easier for Joe or Jill to plug into the internet, talk to folks back home, see baby pictures, and this kind of thing. So the military does a great job in providing that service to help keep soldiers engaged. And it really how much a soldier is on that kind of thing depends on his location. How far away he is from the headquarters and pushed out into the nether regions. But it's entirely possible for soldiers to access social media accounts while deployed.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, because some of the comments you get from these guys, I'm just, I've heard it all, and I know you've heard it all.
That's a great first question, and when you ask that kind of question, it means you're thinking about things like, okay, would a soldier have contact to people on social media? Does he have internet access? And these are great questions because it's not funny, and I can say it's funny because we agree and have seen some horrific, life-ending, changing, devastating things happen to people that are engaged in this. But when you see some of the things that a supposed serviceman is asking for from overseas, if you've been in the military a day or two, you realize this is ridiculous. That is absurd. They don't need a loved one's permission to come to their home while on leave. They don't need monies to pay for medicines because they've been wounded. They don't need, the commanding officer doesn't need a signature verifying that a soldier so they can have contact with you. But, Kathy and I have seen all this stuff kind of play out. And these are things that people will say to help establish a level of credibility, from like official looking letterhead to I need permissions to do this. I mean, it's all about continuing to build on trust and credibility as they sink their talents in further and further and take more money and money from you. So yeah, you've got to be thinking when you're talking to people online. And the first question is, hey, does the soldier really have access to this kind of stuff? That's a great first question. And if you're thinking that, then you got to think through the rest of the stuff that they're going to ask and where that leads you.
Yeah. Well, I've pretty much become Columbo on some of this stuff. And my best friend is like really good. She goes, you're not going to believe this email I got. I'm going to send it to you. She goes, I already know it's a scam because I learned it from you, and I will post stuff like that so that people can see, hey, this kind of crazy, the other stuff, not necessarily just military. It's other ways of, people scamming. And I know the one thing I worked on, supposedly some lawyer from Canada was sending her this letter, had the same last name as her. I mean, the person, he has this estate and he's dead or something. And I mean, I was looking it up. They had a legitimate website, what it looked like. But I'm like, no, this isn't right, And so I ended up contacting this one lady who I had been involved with an interview with, and she works for the Department of Justice, the Eastern District of Missouri, financial scams. And I sent it to her, and she's like, yeah, you're right, it is, but I tried to reach out to the real people and say, hey, you're being used. I never heard back, but I don't expect to hear back. I pass the information along, and then I move on, I don't want to be one of those people that keeps bugging you. It's like, here it is. Right. Do with it what you will.
for people that this is a way of life, this is a business, this is organized crime, and people can say, well, you get what you sign up for, you're giving money to people online. They don't. You have to understand this is an organized group of criminals. It's not one person you're writing to. These are teams of people that run these scams. I mean, different gangs. There's a team of people over here. There's 3 or 4 teams over here. I mean, these are hundreds, if not thousands, of people involved in this industry, and so they have time. They have time to create fake web pages to support their stories. I mean, it's nothing. It's free, right? I mean, to do some of this, it costs little to nothing to print up an official-looking Army piece of paper, of which you can find plenty of examples online that say this, or if you're an oil worker on a rig, to print up something that says, hey, this guy works here, or a lumber harvester in South America with poor connectivity because he's out on the site all the time. There's 1,000 ways to craft a story and excuses of why I can't participate in a Zoom call, why I can't, get a better connectivity so you can see my image, why I need you to sign this piece of paper. I mean, this is a way of life, and all the tricks of the trade are all for sale. You only have to go as far as Facebook to kind of read through, sites that sell this kind of thing online, the how-tos, the backstories, the identification cards that you would need. It's all right there, and it's not concealed. It's not hidden. It's out there in the open. And Kathy really has kicked a lot of that stuff over and opened my eyes to the extent of it.
Well, I know their Photoshop skills are pretty good, but they haven't fooled me yet, because I will expand the picture. I have the Reversi app on my phone, so I can run the picture through that. So I'll see this picture, but it's got a different face. So then I blow up their picture and I can see the white around the head. It's a photo, and some of them are pretty good and some are really bad, but
I've got Brian, pictures of Brian in jail, in the hospital. Yeah, he's places all over the world he's never been. But they are getting better. They really are. They're starting to use video, because we'd always say, if they can't video chat with you, well, then forget, it's a scammer. Well, now they're starting to record the videos from a phone and show the video through their computer, so it looks like they're FaceTiming somebody, which is actually not the case. They've taken the video, they've slowed it down, they've taken the volume out of it, and so when you play it for their person they're trying to talk to, or their victim, it looks like a legit video that's been having, or that has some technical, or not a video, but look, a FaceTime that's having technical problems. And so I have heard so many times, but I talked to them. Well, did you talk to them, or was it a quick video? No, it was about a minute, but they were having problems. So right there, that's you got to stop that there. So
that Instagram you did was perfect about that, because I've had a couple of those, but they were celebrities, fake celebrities. The one was Billy Idol, and he's playing this video, and I'm like, that is so terrible. That is such a grainy, and I'm like telling the guy, dude, you're not Billy Idol. That's not a good, and then I had a fake Chris Pratt one do the same thing. And I'm like, oh, please. But they didn't play that long, and, but again, my point of doing what I do is I just want to help these women so that, hey, this is what they sound like. This is what they say. Don't fall for them, and, I just stumbled upon this. I started my blog in October of 2016, and I just was curious. I was at church and I'm reading the back of the bulletin, and they had a thing on there for CatholicMatch.com.
Oh.
And I'm like, I really don't want to meet anybody. I'm happily divorced and I have so many projects. I don't got time. But I was curious. So I went there. Now, nothing happened there. And a coworker said, oh, try Match.com. And the very first guy that contacted me was in the Army, And so I took the thing that bugged me about it was all the sweet emails.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of grossed me out.
Yeah, right.
Really.
over the top and almost immediately, because
Yeah.
time is money, right? And the longer they have to take in developing you to see how far you're going to go down the rabbit hole here, they don't have time for that. They don't have time to spend on things that are going to be a dead end.
Yeah.
So they'll see how much you buy off, and if you put up with all that stuff, the sweet talk, queen, my queen, I love you, like right off the bat, then what else? We got a live one, right? It's an indicator.
Yeah. So I um I never knew about the scamming. Now, I never sent money. I'm suspicious about people anyway most of the time. So but I went to work and was telling this other coworker, I said, look at this guy I met online. And she goes, is he in the army? I go, yeah, he's a scammer. So she went and told me the whole story. So then I, of course, do my own thing. And then I Googled this guy's picture, boom, scammer. But I was new to all this and I was freaked out. I thought, oh my God, he's going to find me, And then my friend's like, he's not going to find you. So I ended up just sending him an email. I know who you are. I never want to hear from you again. Block, And then and then I'm like, I've always wanted to do a blog, but I never had anything to blog about. And I'm like, I think this would be really a good way to do something, my little part. And that's how I started. And then I just started the podcast a year and a half ago. So, but anyway, I want to hear about your website. Tell us about your website. And then you saw what I was going to ask you. So tell me about your fantastic website.
Well, thank you so much. We try to put a little bit of everything on there, really. Actually, the pictures are pretty new. I just started putting those up, and we already have a pretty good library of them. They are pictures that were sent from victims or that have been approached. Not all of them sent money, but they've all given me pictures to post so we can share with everybody. We have a spot where you can report the crimes. We have information where they can get additional help, links with interviews and articles, podcasts, everything, stuff like that we have done that provides education. That is our main goal, is the education. I mean, we definitely need laws to be changed too, so it's a safer platform, or that our platforms are safer. But for right now, if we can get that little bug in people's ear, and when they are approached by a fake account on a social media platform, they can notice maybe the red flags right away. And these guys are pretty quick to where you can recognize it. But if you're not educated in it and you don't know the red flags, then you may fall for it. So I've heard so many victims say how dumb they were and how stupid and ashamed. And it's absolute opposite. They have the biggest hearts. They're going to trust people. And I said, if you were educated in this and you knew what to look for, you wouldn't have fallen for it. And so it's really, honestly, that kind of simple to get all the education out there that we can.
I've said a couple times in my blog and podcast, I said in the 80s, I'm going to be 60 on Sunday, but in the 80s, thank you. In the 80s, this is something I think I probably would have fell for. Not that I ever had any money, but I think, and I don't like to think back. I had fun, but I also think there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, I got to have a man. And that's not always easy to admit. I'm good at admitting it now, but I'm not that same person, But I understand how women can fall for this. I don't like that they do that. Like you said, education is the thing. I wish there was more we could do, like have a big group therapy of all the women in the world and just say, hey,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I read on your site, tell me about the Communication Decency Act. And for those who don't know about it, I read there were changes you want to see happen to it.
You want to take this, Brian?
So the Decency and Communication Act, there we go. The Decency and Communication Act was started at really the dawn of the internet, and it was meant to encourage people that were developing the technology to develop it, to build a bulletin board, so to speak, without fear of repercussions of what would be posted there, because you don't want to stifle the innovation, right? And so that happened. And now the internet is up and thriving, and there's still no way to hold liable the social media giants that have built this platform and these platforms and these billboards. It's no way to hold them accountable for what gets posted there, even if they know that, despite their community standards that say you can't have duplicate profiles, you can't have profiles specific with the specific intent of committing fraud. That's all there. And let's say take Facebook, that's in their community standards. This still happens. They still know what happens. They've been warned about it by people like, Kathy and I and you, and, in most of these times, the whole process of policing that bulletin board is through the user, right? And so you report profiles that are fake, but then when they don't take action, they don't have to take action. There is nothing that compels them to take action, and there's nothing you can do about them for failing to take action. It's all based on what they feel is within their capability to do, what they want to do, what they really want to invest money in doing. So there's a lot of carrot in terms of profits to be made through the social media, organizations, but there's no stick to hold them accountable for what gets posted out there. There's no repercussions for, 10% of your profiles are fake. There are people that are losing, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, the Federal Trade Commission, basically, let us know that Western Union, who is the preferred money delivery service for most of these scammers, was held liable and had to pay back a certain percentage of money to victims. How do you hold the banking system responsible, but not the social media site that all this information is passed on, particularly when they know it's there? I mean, the logic there is somewhat baffling that the social media giants have a get out of jail free card, can't hold us liable, and they exploit that. And as many times as you've seen a lot of these folks kind of appear in front of Congress to testify, it's all, really smoke and mirrors. They haven't invested, from our perspective, no more, no less, in the time that we've talked to Facebook about this, and let them know that there was a problem. And the first time we met with them, it was like they were very surprised to know that that romance scams took place on their profile. They had that kind of a shocked look about it. And since we've talked to them, they've stood up a marketplace, a dating site, a gaming site. I mean, there's no resources, no new resources. They told Congress that they've spent lots of money in hiring new people, putting humans in the loop to help review and verify fake accounts. But certainly Facebook knows Kathy and I, they know our organization. We've had a direct relationship with them for a number of years. And still every day fake profiles are made using the same old pictures of me, without fail and without any repercussions to Facebook for allowing that to happen.
Well, on the good side, Brian, I've never seen your picture. You're not in my list. So
Awesome.
So if that's any comfort,
I will sleep better tonight.
Well, I notice on Facebook, because I do a lot of Facebook with friends and family and Star Trek groups and whatever that I belong to. And like on the Ellen DeGeneres page, she would post something and I would say, oh my God, I love that show, whatever. And then I would come back and some guy would say, oh, I looked at your profile and I tried to send you a friend request and it wouldn't go through. Please, and I'm like, dude, so I would just type scammer underneath it.
Yeah.
And I notice other people being able, because I still see this happening on other public pages that I belong to. I still see this going on and I see other people, go away, you're a scammer. We know you're, so I mean, I do see, I see it mostly on Instagram, but on Facebook, I have my Facebook is closed down mostly because that's my fun page. That's my family page. That's my friend, but my Instagram is something totally different. I use that to get my stories, And
I will say, I don't want it to make it seem like we're here to bash Facebook. I'm a board member of a couple of military organizations. I run a living history group there. I mean, in terms of conveying information, there's no better platform to me. If you got 7 World War II vets up on your military history site, you know how hard it is to get 7 guys in their late 80s and 90s up on any kind of social media platform. You don't want to jump ship and abandon that. But what we really went in to have a conversation with Facebook about was to say, hey, just so you know, love it, appreciate what you do. This is where you're not quite making good on your community standards. This is where you're falling short. And we just wanted to say that and then provide the data that helps them see that. And, back in the day where I was pretty naive, and I think Kathy and I were both like, they'll really appreciate this information, and they're going to jump in there and they're going to make this right. And golly gee, it's going to be great. And then, it took a while of knocking on the door going, yeah, they're not interested in fixing any part of this because to them, this is a bit of a nuisance, right? They don't have to do anything. And so that's exactly what they're going to do. Not anything.
Right. And we've got emails that we've sent them all about one of the organized crime groups is the Yahoo Boys. And so that was another time they're like, what? We don't know about this. And so
that's new to me.
Huh? Oh, is that
that's new to me? Yeah.
Okay, so and they're like, well, we don't know about this. We're going to keep our eye out. So this group does all their business on Facebook. It's kind of like what Brian was talking about earlier. They will sell victims' photos, scripts for the scams. They'll sell people's photos like Brian's and make them identity theft victims. They've got different cards, send me your number or send me some money and I'll, send you a gift card number, because they sell those when the people send them gift cards. So anyways, all of this is done. I'm sure on other platforms too, but on Facebook, they're private and public. So you can go in there, you can type in Yahoo Boys and you're going to find them. And the thing is they're not hiding. I mean, maybe some of them are hiding under different names, but they're putting Yahoo Boys. And there's groups like ours that report them and get them down, but they pop right back up. And so, we're aware that these tech companies are able to recognize that name and not even post or let their account, be active. But no, they're not. They're still remaining out there. They're doing all their work. They have thousands of followers. These scammers are following. It's amazing. So yeah, if anybody wants to do that, all they have to do is look up on Facebook, put Yahoo Boys, and they'll definitely find these sites. It's disgusting. It's unbelievable that the crime is allowed like this online, and it's because a third party post is not their responsibility, so they don't have to take it down.
Yeah. I had mentioned earlier how on Instagram my account got copied, and I didn't notice this. And this was probably a year and a half ago. I'm in the car with my daughter and she's, Mom, I want to look at your Instagram because she gets a kick out of reading all my stuff on there. And Mom, somebody duplicated your account. What? Well, that's happened several times and I've been able to get it, reported saying this is me. But the one, it took forever for them to take down. Any other time it's been pretty quick, but this one time, and I was in there every day reporting it. This is not my account. Get rid of it. My hair was different. I had it brown at the time, but I'm like, go a little fast. The other ones were good, but this one took forever. I need to check again to make sure it's not been duplicated. But the one thing I do, and on Instagram, as I'm having my conversations with them and when it's going to end, I actually go to their profile and on all their pictures, I type scammer and then I block them. And I will get emails or messages from other girls saying, hey, you wrote scammer on there. Can you tell me why? Mm-hmm. Well, on some of these pictures, I wasn't the only one that did that. But by blocking them, they can't see it, but everybody else can. Again, somebody could come through and say, hey, Joe, this gal wrote that on there, make a new account or delete the pictures, so.
That's Brian feels that effect too. We've done reports on it about I'll report him as a friend of mine and as being, duplicated. And then if it doesn't come down, I give those to Brian and say, hey, try and get these down. He puts them in as, they're trying, they're stealing my profile picture or they're my picture and they still don't come down. He has like a 50. No, what is yours, Brian? 50%?
No, it was, I think we had about a 33% success ratio. I think that was probably at the height of it. I mean, now I can't report anything and it comes down. Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
man. Can you, give us some advice, maybe a few tips to women out there, because this is mostly, I know it happens to men, but it's
Mhm.
mostly women we hear about. What are some tips that they should look for when they get a message from Joe Military or whoever?
Sure.
So, yeah,
Yep.
so
Go
if
ahead,
they,
Kathy. Yeah.
okay. Usually, right off the bat, they do a lot of the sweet words, calling you dear and queen, and you have a beautiful smile. They'll, your eyes are beautiful. I wanted to reach out. So they'll do a lot of that love bombing stuff right away. They will try and move the conversation from the platform that they approached you on to another social media site or chat site that is encrypted, because if they delete it on their end, it's nearly impossible for law enforcement to pull that up on their end. A lot of times, when you're a victim, you just want to forget about it, and then they delete it on their end, and there's no proof anywhere. And I'm sure that's what they bet on. But so those are a few. A lot of them have the same stories, that they work outside of the country or outside of whatever country you're in. They want to send a package to you because it's their personal belongings, and you're the only one they can trust. Or there's so many out there, but the initial ones are trying to move the conversation, like right off. If you're looking right away, you can go on their site. Is it just women that's following them? Is their account brand new? You can go on where you can do a reverse image search, copy their picture, see if it's used somewhere else. There's a lot of things to look for, and we definitely have those tips too on our website.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with everybody? I mean, again, I've said this a lot. I love your website. I had to revisit it again the other night so I could make sure I sounded like I know what I'm talking about. But no, I mean, I was telling a friend, yeah, check out this website. It's so good. Is there any other awesome stuff that I might have missed on your site, or just anything else you just want to share with everybody?
I would say, and it does seem so obvious to us, sitting and talking about it, but people really get into this, and it is hard to see your way clear. Every week or so, really, it's been about every week. My wife is approached by somebody online who messages her saying, "I'm in a relationship with your husband. I thought you ought to know." Or I'm, the last couple have been really pretty rude, to say the least. And my wife goes through the motions of telling them, "You are talking with a scammer. Please look at this website. Take a look at any number. Google his name and look at any number of the videos." And they'll admit that, "Yep, I've been informed that your husband told me that's what you would say and point me towards this, but I'm actually talking to the real Brian Denny, your husband, and this is what's happening." And at the end of the day, it's really hard for people to see their way clear of this, even when they've reached out to me or to her or to anybody, and they don't necessarily want to hear the truth, and just can't. It's hard to emotionally grasp, and that's really the thing that's so frustrating about this. It's not just a financial amount that is taken from people, but it's the emotional destruction that comes with being lied to, and this kind of thing. And if we talk about it honestly, the victims in this are typically women, as we've said, but there are women that are already in a vulnerable part of their life, a part of their life where they've lost a loved one, or something along those lines, and are looking for somebody to have a relationship with, maybe, or talk to, or in many cases, just help a soldier, which is why so many soldiers' images are used in this kind of thing. So at the end of the day, I would just say this: if you could scrape away a lot of the emotional stuff to it, just remember something that my parents, grandparents all taught me as a kid. You don't give money to strangers. Don't give things to strangers. And that's an easy thing to say, because when you're talking to somebody on the internet, you think you know them. You very quickly can feel like, "Hey, I know this person. They're not a stranger to me." But if you're talking to someone online and you've never met them in person, then you do not really know them. right? You can't confirm that there's a flesh and blood entity out there that looks like this, that you're actually having a dialogue with. And so you got to kind of think through that. Well, I'll have a set up a video conference or Zoom or Google Meets or something like that. And it is not that hard to do. And there are very few circumstances, jobs, locations in the world where you can't make something like that happen. Even if you're a deployed soldier and have access to social media, if you can do that, then you can also have a video chat. There's nothing necessarily that prohibits that. There are places to go and do those types of things. So you've got to press harder and get the answers that you want, not just say, well, it's a sensitive job and it's a remote location, and for security reasons. These are all really good covers for why people can't do something. But if you want to, you've got to press that attack home and make that kind of thing happen and ask the tough questions, and don't just believe everything that everybody's telling you on the internet. It's easily said. I say don't give money to strangers, and people online are just that. They're strangers. But I realize in execution, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say, Kathy?
Brian hit everything on the head there.
He did. How about telling everybody your web address?
Sure. It's advocatingforyou.com, and it's with the U at the end, not YOU. So yeah, we're there, and we have Advocating for You. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Yeah, we're on LinkedIn. We're on most of the big social media sites.
Gosh, thank you so much. I mean, you shared a lot of great information today. I got a lot to learn, more stuff to learn now. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And I hope you both have great holidays.
Thanks. Same to you, Patsy. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us on here. I'm so sorry. Like I said, it took so long to get it all set up. I'm just, yeah.
I'm very flexible because I know how busy you guys are. So I can make the time. That's why I always tell important people like yourselves, I will make the time. I will rearrange anything because I know how hard it is to get people together, especially people like you who have such a good website. You're doing the right thing. I fully support you. I think you guys are awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Whoops. I think that stopped recording. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. This was phenomenal. There's so
much more that you can, it's just like, there's just so much to be able to say and stuff, but
I don't know.
I think you hit, what'd you say?
I think I'm about done. I tapped out. I got nothing else. I appreciate it. I hope there's something usable in all this. Education.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. These two people are totally amazing. I'm their biggest fan. Please check out their website. It's Advocating for You, ADVOCATING and the letter U.com. They have a mail list that you can subscribe to at the bottom of their front page. Sign up and get it whenever they have updates and such. You'll get something. I just signed up for it myself because I always have new stuff to learn. This kind of thing, there's always new stuff to learn. I like to think I know a lot, but there's so much that I don't know about. But what I do know, I share with you all. So please, please, please visit their website. I guarantee you're going to love it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your neighbors, share it with older female relatives, friends, so that they don't fall for this scam stuff that drives us crazy. And normally at this point, I do Scammer Sweet Talk. Well, today it's going to be Scammer Not So Sweet Talk. I have 4 little things to share to you. And I first want to apologize of the vulgarity because I don't usually talk like that on my podcast. But I just want to make you aware of it. So the first one, as always, I always tell these guys, would you please take a picture of yourself holding up 3 fingers by your face so I know you're real. You've heard me say that before. So these are responses that I got back from that. It's okay, sweetie. Can I insert your finger inside your bra and send me pic? Learn how to talk. Learn how to write right. Number 2, this is an insult to my personality. I don't think you have a personality. Number 3, and what is the meaning of that? Are you giving me an assignment or what? You will be the one to do that first. In your dreams, dude. And the last one, you are giving me conditions to talk to you? You are not serious. Fuck off. Again, I apologize for the language because that's not how I talk, but I'm only quoting the scammers. So that's this week's not so sweet talk. But don't worry, next time I will be back with the sweet talk. Now, your favorite segment. I'm back to 1001 Ways to Meet Mr. Right. The book is by Elizabeth Scheimer Bowers. You can get it on any place you can get a book. I got this at the Half Price Books in St. Louis for 50 cents. But you can go on Amazon or anywhere if you really want to see the book. I'm still in the social waste section. That seems to be the biggest section. So anyway, so now next on our 1001 Ways to Meet Mr. Right. A vintage clothing store. Yes. The pro is vintage clothing is not only clue, it's relatively inexpensive. The con is some guys who are interested in vintage clothing may be a little too eccentric for your liking. Yeah, that can happen. You know. Oh, this is a good one. I got a kick out of this one. A square dancing club. I remember in gym class in grade school, we square danced and I thought it was fun. The pro is the swing your partner move is a good preview of whether the two of you have chemistry. The con is square dancing is a dying art in some parts of the country, so you may have some trouble finding a club, especially one that involves people under the age of 60. Oh, just so you all know, today I hit my 60th birthday. The only part of my body that feels 60 is my knees. The rest of me still feels like I'm 22. Happy birthday to me. The next one is a segment or a thing called 8-minute dating. The pro is a room full of eligible singles and 8 chances to meet someone you click with in one night. The con is if you're not terribly outgoing, 8-minute dating, excuse me, could be intimidating. Now, if I were wanting to date, which I'm not, the 8-minute thing would work for me because chances are I could do all the talking in that 8 minutes and that guy would just sit there and probably would think I'd never get a word in edgewise. Next. Oh, this is a good one. Bring your old boyfriend party. Ugh. The pro is if you're interested in a guy and your friend, let me start that over. If you're interested in a guy your friend has dated, you can get some background info on him before you decide whether or not you want to go out. The con is if anyone still has feelings for the ex, jealousy is bound to rear its ugly head. And then this other one is a Christmas tree show. It says there's no pro or con. It just says if you're planning to decorate your place with a tree this year, you might want to gather some creative ideas at a Christmas tree show. So you never know who you could meet. I've never been to a Christmas tree show, so I don't know. And final for today, a New Year's Eve day party. The pro is if you made a resolution to improve your love life, you might be able to cross it off your list on the first day of the year. The con is, okay, if you're over embitted the night before, you might not be at your freshest. Basically, if you're hungover from the night before, it might suck for you. Anyway,
I hope you get a kick out of those, like I do. And, maybe somebody has met someone on these ways that I read every week to you or every month. But anyway, again, check out their website, Advocating for You. Again, phenomenal website. Come in the new year, I will possibly have some more people from the board of Advocating for You, possibly a guest on my podcast. I was speaking to Kathy after we were done recording, and she had said, she would give me emails and email addresses, I could contact these folks. So that is something I will do. I do know I have one that I'm going to do probably in January if I don't do it sooner. I do flea markets, and I met a girl at the flea market I was at yesterday. And she is just hilarious. She could kind of be a lot like me when it comes to men. So she goes, I have so many stories about crazy dates, and dating stories. So I thought, I know I had some other people on here to talk about their crazy dating stories. I'm going to have her on so that she can share her stories. Because from when we talked, all we did was laugh. So she's going to be a future guest on my show. And I can't wait. Excuse me, I can't wait to have her on because she's just so funny. So anyway, I'm still giving out free t-shirts. So be sure to email me if you want one. patsypodcast@att.com. They're totally free. You just need to send me your shirt size and your mailing address. I pay for shipping. It's usually first class, so I can track it and make sure it gets delivered to you. My new calendars are out, those little half-page laminated calendars. Well, when you get a t-shirt, you automatically get a couple of those. So, but if you just want the calendar again, send me an email, patsypodcast@att.net. I'm more than happy to send that out to you. And the holidays are coming. If I don't do another show until after Christmas, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, a Happy Hanukkah, any holiday that you celebrate. Go out and maybe do something nice for somebody, and make sure the one rule I have, as always, never send money to someone you don't know.